What's going on, guys? Welcome back to RC Everyday. My one video to take a break from the red GMC is now part 3 of this build. I got my linear actuator today, so you can see in the background there, I've got some of my solar stuff for the trailer. I really need to put the vent fan in the trailer, but I'm kind of hooked on this thing now, and I want to make this mechanism work. So I've been kind of brainstorming, staring at this for the last 15-20 minutes. I've got some scrap pieces of metal laying around. I've hooked the battery up to it, extended it out. I probably could have gone a little shorter, but we're here. We got it. I was cracking up because the box said made in China for the United States. I was like, that's okay. They don't sell them anywhere else, I guess. I don't know. But I've kind of done some, not math, but just some basic measurements. I'm thinking this piece here, we're going to actually mount to the bottom of the bed. So that will give us our nice level closure. I'm thinking we're going to mount this through that and the bed. So that'll give us a little more reinforcement. And I'm going to have to make something up here. This is going to have to go pretty far to the back of the cab. And I've got 4 holes here in the top, so I'm thinking it needs to be lower. Obviously, this is a little thicker than I had intended. So it's not going to tuck, it's not going to set right on top of the frame rail. It's going to stick up just a little bit, and it won't fit underneath that little thing like I was hoping. So we're going to have to recess that down just a little bit. So I'm thinking I'm going to cut the plate here. I need to get that deck plate out that this truck came with. I don't want to use it to the super thin plastic, but if that's the 4 holes that line up, we can use that to mark this. And then I'm going to cut this. I'm thinking we're going to have to space it down a couple millimeters below and bolt it in from the inside of the frame rail. And that'll give us a nice place. I've kind of done some eyeballing. It's going to be, that would give us still clearance for the drive shaft to come out, because drive shaft's going to come out and start going down immediately. Anything sticking down lower than that will get in the way of it. I was looking at this because it's a little bit thinner. It might be easier to work with, but then I'd have to notch for the drive shaft, and we're dealing with the 4th plane of surface to look out for. So flat plate really works the best. Kind of regretting now that I'm going with patina that I've used these shiny front end and that cross member on this truck, but I don't want to swap it for plastic. Those are nice parts. We might then dingy it up later down the line. So drive shaft still hasn't even shipped yet, I don't think. Takes forever up there, and they're in the middle of a snowstorm, so yeah, can't blame him for not rushing to the post office, I guess. But yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find that deck plate, test those holes, and mark it out on here, start cutting this up. I do have a bandsaw. It's one of those Ryobi ones from Home Depot. The blade just wobbles. It's got a metal blade on it, but it does not do well enough to cut something this thick. And I need to be precise. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have to goggle up and do the angle grinder. It's the only thing I can get a nice straight cut with. Slight miscalculation. Deck plate only has 2 screws. So I don't know what I was thinking. I did get another idea. I do have a lot of the stock cross members, and that drops down, and that's flat on that side. I'm just going to take this off of here. We might have to trim the bottom out to clear our drive shaft. We could bolt our thing right there. The only problem with that is I don't have any holes on the chassis to mount this. But that might be easier to drill 2 holes per side versus trying to mount something underneath the rail with spacers where we don't have quite enough space, really. For the spacers would hit the inside of the rail before it would center on the hole. I'd have to find all of the RC 4-wheel drive steering spacers, and I don't think I have enough of any one size because they have a slightly smaller outer diameter. So that may be the best option, because that would sink us down about where I wanted it. And that's pretty solid. It's got reinforcements, and that's Tamiya plastic. It's not like it's junk. So I think I'm gonna start. I'm gonna cut this out, cut this support out. Well, we could probably eyeball it. That's gonna be the problem too with this, is we're gonna have to take the rails slightly apart. We might be able to just take this off and pry it apart, squeeze this in. See how that's gonna clear. Oh, that should clear drive shaft just fine. So we don't even need to cut that. All right. Well, shoot. I'm trying to think. I may have, where are those end pieces? Need to make sure that that is the same distance apart as those. That'll at least give me something to work with as far as marking holes. Drilling into the metal, obviously it's going to be a challenge with it. The truck all together. We're going to have to put it on its side, try to press it. So anyways, I think I got a plan. So let's get to work doing it. All right, guys, that worked out excellent. I cheated so bad. I knew from experience with these trucks, I can never get those two spaced properly. On the previous rear tailpiece that we had on this truck, I had it all jacked up, trying to do that exact drill. So I just used those holes in the top. I drilled through, I left them threaded, and yeah, I bolted it from the top and the bottom. That thing is not going anywhere. I did clearance the cab a little bit for this. It is sitting on it right now, but I'm looking in here at where our mounts go, and we're going to be up quite a bit higher, so we'll be somewhere around there, so we'll have plenty of room. We're only getting that much tilt. If that becomes a problem, I don't think it will, because you got to think this is going to be extended when it's up that high, and we're going to be full dump. So the next step, I'm going to have to try to measure from these two holes to this hole, and we'll figure out a way to, I think it's sitting a little crooked. Turn that mount a little bit. I did throw a shim in there. This one's gonna need a lot of shims. Use some of those Boom Racing shims, but the M4 stuff for the axles works. Get this out of the way. So yeah, I just gotta measure that, and then we're gonna center on the dump bed, drill us a hole. I guess we'll go ahead and mount this as well. Get that bolted in between. One M3 screw to rule them all. And we'll be ready to do some test dumps. Sounds dirty. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm thinking I may wrap this part of it with that cloth tape. I don't want to get it too thick down here, depending on how far down we need to go, just to hide some of this. I guess I could probably try to peel that sticker off. That would look better, but I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. You won't be able to see it until it's actually lifted. So anyway, that's the plan. It's going together a lot quicker than I thought it would. So that's always, it could be really bad. This is something I'm overlooking. All right, guys, we're down to the fun part. I got that straightish. It's not perfect. Next step, I need to bolt this bed back on. We can dump it, extend the cylinder, hook it up, and then we can see what it does. Just had some screws. I do wish these were a little bit more robust, but it is what it is. I can't see nothing. All right, we're facing up. Thing feels different now. I've got that other piece on there. I can't see where we're at. Okay, there's the end of that. All right, that looks nice. So this one should be lined up perfectly now. Well, if we over tighten those, at least we can print a new one. And a little bit of slop side to side. I guess that's all. Yeah, that's all in that hitch. We may have to shim that as well. All right, flip it up. Got one shim. My nut go for that. Oh, there it is. All right, y'all see what's going on. The battery. I don't remember which way is which on this thing. I think. All right. Wow. We're not going to have to go very far at all. Let me get this. It's going to be impossible to tighten this screw, I just realized. That was a good plan. Threw those other screws in, they just go into the plastic, but it's something to help keep that all square. I need something to push this little shim on here. Oh, come on. I don't have any pliers handy. Oh, wait. Added some more tools to this workbench. And it fell off. Come on. Alright, better idea. We installed the shim with the pliers. Not look like an idiot on the internet. That one shim's not going to do anything on this. I need like 5 millimeters. Let's just get this on. We could torque that down and bend the mount in a little bit, but torquing it's going to be fun since we can't get to the screw. Let's get the nuts started on here. It's going to be a challenge as well. I wonder if my little ratcheting mini ratchet set could reach this. Let's get a couple ugga-duggas on it. All right, let me reposition stuff here. We'll do a little test. There goes nothing. All right. It does have a little bit of slop in it, so if we put a lot of weight at the back, it could flip up on its own. Not mad at that. Oh. Oh, we're not going up though. What's the deal with that? It's pushing out, but it's not pushing up. Our pivot point is not in an ideal location, apparently. Pulled it up a little bit. Oh, we're not lifting at all. Come on, get in there. All right. Well, we learned a lot about pivot points and things that aren't working right. So we need a little angle on it, I guess. That's no bueno. Let me do some brainstorming. All right, guys, take two. Took that cross member out, had to take the other one loose, had a strip bolt, luckily, so we'll get that out. I hate not having any cross members in it, but right now, it still won't work. The bottom end is directly in front of the output shaft on the transmission, so we may end up having to space the transmission down to clear all this. Really wish I had that drive shaft so I could gauge better how much clearance, how much room I have to work with. Now it's looking like somebody on Facebook suggested the plate up here, we need to get the angle to where this is, when it's closed, the strut is still in there at an angle. So right now, when we go down, the strut is still parallel or even down a little bit on the back. And then when it goes to actuate, it's not getting enough for upward momentum, and it's just pushing straight back, and you can hear the 3D printed stuff start creaking and things start going haywire. So kind of should have went ahead and wired this to a controller first. That's my least favorite thing to do, so that's why we're just jumping in with this. So right now we're sitting directly in front of the output shaft, and another issue that I may need a shorter actuator. I thought this would be a good medium, but I don't know. It's got to be so far back on this little dump bed. If we had a bigger dump bed or longer wheelbase, you know, we could get it a little bit easier. But yeah, this little shorty just keeps surprising me with new exciting problems. So I think I'm going to tear the bed down. We're going to get that plate off the bottom that I put on, put the actuator end back on, and see if that gives us enough angle. I mean, that plate is only at best 5 millimeter. We are losing some space in our eyelet. You can see how high up that is. So if we could maybe, well, there's not enough room on this end to clear the screw in there. I was thinking maybe we could drill out and make it work, but that may not be an option. So back to the drawing board. It's the fun part, RC engineering. You get to troubleshoot. All right, guys, I think I got a compromise in the works. I flipped this cross member upside down. No way it can hit that angle and mount to where that mount was, but I think if I can get this out of here, well, I'll show you on this fancy one. It's mounted, it wasn't mounted on top, doesn't work on the bottom. If I mount it on the front and it's where it is right now, it could work. The only problem with the plastic one is there's not a lot of material there to drill a hole through in the center, because it's got a little tab that goes straight. This one obviously can't bolt an M3 through that M7 hole, or whatever that is. Massive hole there. So let me pull this cross member back out. Just bending these rails. Ow! We'll take this thing off of here, see what we can do. We may have to get another one because I've butchered this one up so bad. But I don't know. Just take a look. All right, I got an idea. Find some cutters here. I'm thinking I'm just going to mount it in the wrong way. Now, it won't fit in there that direction, but if we trim a little off, and I'm going to favor it towards the bottom because this is already kind of favoring the bottom, and we want it as low as possible. So I'm going to trim just a little bit off of this. I want it to still fit tight, so this is going to be just straight up eyeballed here. The only thing I don't know yet is how we're going to secure this. We could lock it in with screws from the top, maybe, if it's... Let me see how that does first. Not quite enough. Actually going to take this to the bench sander and move those out because I'm not getting those straight across the bottom there. All right, let's see if we got it. I need the spacer in there, but I don't know where I want to mount it yet. And that's part of the reason I keep having trouble. Will it go up? Nope, went the wrong way. We can go even further. All the way. Come on. All right, now we'll go back up. So it's a little touchy going up, but it's working. All right, I think this is gonna work. I got that all square and centered for the most part. I went ahead and drilled holes here where we had the original thing mounted, and I'm gonna screw them down. It's gonna go through the plastic and out the bottom for my next trick, hopefully. I under-drilled those plastic screws a little bit, or the plastic part a little bit, in hopes that it will, you know, just friction weld itself together with plastic. And pop out the bottom. We can put a nut on there and this thing ain't going nowhere. Perfect. We find 2 M3 lock nuts. Should have just enough, looks like just enough thread sticking out. All right, so looking underneath, it's going to be very snug for drive shaft. I'm going to have to, luckily I was looking, the screws are long enough. We could probably squeeze a 3 or 4 millimeter spacer in there, drop that whole thing down. First thing I want to do though is I've got to get this piece mounted to the front of the dump bed now. So I'm hoping I can reuse a couple of those holes that we already made and just make some new ones up top. But unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to take this all the way off again, and we got to get this thing tight. It's very loose and floppy on there. So yeah, we're gonna take the bed off completely. So it's not ideal to have a scale nut sticking up in the bed of your dump truck. Oh, I'll have to tighten it from both sides. But we gotta do with what we gotta do. I gotta get this straight over here. It's crushing that plastic down quite a bit. Don't want to overdo it, but we need it pretty snug. All right, so none of those screws for that went all the way through. I just need that so it doesn't overextend and close too much. Then we'll be hitting the cab with everything. Yeah, I got a little bit longer screw for my hinge because I, like an idiot, accidentally tightened those when I went to loosen them. So we can replace that. I think I actually thought I had a spare one printed already. It'll take me forever to find that file, but we gotta do what we gotta do if we need to. We'll see if we can get a little bit more meat in there on that. And I have not checked on how tight those are. That feels pretty solid, so I don't think I'm worried about those. Those are M4. It's just the way it all worked out with that print file. I'm definitely glad we did this before I weathered the bed. We can get all these holes drilled beforehand. Not sure I want to get into that this video, but let's just get this thing all together and see it dump with the cab on and go from there. All right, managed to squeeze in 4 millimeter spacers and got one strip screw, of course. Can't have anything nice. They're a little bit long. We could add more if needed. I've got that broken drive shaft. Probably should route the wires to the top, but kind of was thinking about how it would look. But we've got plenty of space there once the wires are out of the way. And I guess I should shorten the actuator, make sure we got room in there. Once it's kind of flattish. Oh yeah, it's gonna be tight. Like I said, we got space there if we need it. Again, the suspension doesn't really, we're not gonna have much movement at all. And this far up on the drive shaft, it ain't going nowhere. So yeah, all that's left is put the bed on. I'm gonna leave this all kind of tentative because we do need to take the bed off and do all the weathering and stuff on it next. Get this nut started here. It's great. We've got all the nuts and bolts in places where we can't get to it from the side. Perfect. Yeah, it's coming together. Well, of course I stripped that out bad. Tried to put longer screws in it and you can't because the M4 stuff from the side is right below where those are. So print the new one. Found the file luckily first try. It was about 46 minutes printing it. I think I got enough ABS left on the printer. So I'm gonna clean up and get all this stuff wrapped up, and then that way we can just swap it on. It kind of works, but I don't know. I just saw a spider crawl across the floor. I got to deal with that. In the meantime, while this replacement part is printing, I think I've come up with a way to mount the tailgate. It's not exactly what was intended. This had instructions online about what to use and where to get these spacers. I'm just using some M3 spacers. They're a little loose in there. 4 millimeter fits perfect and flush. And I'm going to switch guns here and just drive this screw in from the outside. I drilled the hole out just a little bit. It had some tiny little, and get it to start. Maybe I didn't drill it out enough. All right, drill it out one more size. Then we're gonna thread them in. They're gonna be threaded only on this part of the trailer and just set in there and keep that pivoting however it's going to pivot. Yeah, I grabbed the wrong drill bit. And I'm going to put a washer on these. I drilled it out to, was it 3/32? Yeah, that's a good size to tap fine thread M3 hardware into. It's not probably the right thing, but just barely poking out. Now, another spacer. Throw this in there. There's some mechanism too to make a latch. We'll cross that road when we drive. It's going to already be very snug because of the paint, unfortunately. So we're just going to get it on there where it at least function. And just Gonna eyeball it, drive these in. Just snugging them up. Don't need any over torque. We're too high on that one. Get down there. There it is. Heard it pop into place. There we go. It'll work till it don't. Nice. Be very tight to get it to stay latched, but it works on that paint off of there. Honestly, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Wet dump truck, the bed's not scratched all up on. Getting down a little primer in there, be fine. So we still got to wet sand that. We'll do that in the next video. All right, guys, it's done. It's working. I'm pretty happy with it. I haven't tightened up the actuator bolts yet for the ends because we got to take the bed off, of course, to do all that. I found I had a power engine hoist, a scale RC one, and it had this little adapter here with a Dean's connector on it. So now I've got a three-way switch. I've just got it shoved into the end of the wires. Luckily, the actuator has its own cutoff, so it will not overextend itself, which is really nice. It's working pretty dang good. I want to put some weight in it. See if I can find some tires and stuff we can throw in there. All right, I've got a pallet of scale cinder blocks. This probably weighs a couple pounds, not nothing heavy. A little hesitation there at the beginning. See if we can put it in the middle. Still a little jumpy. If you had something a little more evenly distributed. Just curious. Okay, it'll work. All right. I don't know what that weighs. Let's go find out. Unfinished Rat Rod Roadster kit weighs about 4 pounds. So, yeah, I'm happy. This worked out pretty well. We just got more details work to deal with on the body. Get this bed weathered and electronics. And I know the last 2 videos I've kept talking about all the parts I'm missing. I haven't even started looking for them yet. So I'm thinking this may be the last one on this build here for a little bit. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. I need to get back on the red truck. I didn't intend to skip it for a week and get that thing wrapped up. And we're at the same point. We got to do electronics, get everything hidden. So yeah, I don't think we're going to need our box for our little step box or storage box. I think we've got plenty of room under the hood. We just got to figure out the wiring. Try to get everything on one battery. That's the big thing. I hate having 2 ESCs because, I don't know. I've tried mixed luck with that. I'm not exactly clear. I'll have to phone a friend and figure out how that all works. But, yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm not mad at that at all. I was going to look at that pintle hitch. I showed it in the last video. That's part of it. I realized we don't have the drop end of the truck. So it would be too high and then it would be hitting right there. So it would have been a cool addition, but yeah, not gonna happen. Come on, I'm gonna end up unplugging this. Boop. Nice, that little lipo is swole. Nice. The tailgate's not gonna open and close on its own, unless there's 10 pounds of sand back there or something, but it's the perfect height. You can use it to spread it nice and even. We might actually be able to spread us a little driveway out of gravel. Oh, nope, wrong way. That's as far as it'll close. Doubt some. Oh, nope. I did the same thing with when this is on that engine jack, and it'll just unscrew itself completely. It's very annoying. All right. I think that's gonna wrap it up here, guys. It's actually sitting very straight too. We got lucky because I just eyeballed everything. I didn't really measure much. I tried to, but yeah, laws of averages were my thing. So yeah, appreciate you guys watching, and stay tuned till we get to the next part of this thing. See where this little build takes us. But keep it scale, guys. Get out there and have some fun with the hobby, and I'll see you next time.